everybody. It is I, the Juice Man, 3941. Welcome back to episode 83. Mad at Monster Hunter. Pull up a seat at the gaming roundtable. Let's talk, shall we? You know, last night was the first time that I actually got really, really mad at Monster Hunter. I was playing online with a couple buds that I know from work, and this is Auntie and whatnot, and she's a great Monster Hunter player, and my other friend, Naminia, I don't even know if I'm saying her name right, and the thing was they were playing high rank stuff. My character, because of some save issues and my hard drive having to be remounted and different things, I've had to start over. But I'm like, you know, now at a point where I have to like go out into the wherever in the ballooning and deal with like the coral stuff and the underveil and all that stuff. But I was playing Monster Hunter, they were playing without me, but we were in the same party. And my character, who uses an Anjanath like weapon, and I can craft any of the ones up to that point, which is the Anjanath, which is the T-Rex in the game that breathes fire and does its thing. My whole issue, why I got mad at it, was something that I had already talked a little bit about when I was playing Monster Hunter in an earlier video, but this really began to frustrate me in the game. So I'm fighting the Anjanath. I have no problem using whatever weapon, doesn't matter, taking down the Pukai or the Great Jagras in the Ancient Forest. But the Anjanath in particular is a tougher creature that's in the Ancient Forest, and one of the tougher ones, and can take a lot of damage. You almost really need help to actually take down the Anjanath in Monster Hunter World. I got mad at the game because there were some things that was going on that I didn't even like. I think I realized before when I did my earlier video, but didn't realize that even though I love the game, Monster Hunter World is an excellent game, but even though if you're a fan of whatever game series, you know, and you've been playing them for a while, I've been playing Monster Hunter games and those type of games since Dynasty Warrior Strike Force, which takes a lot of cues from that. And I started playing Monster Hunter Ultimate Try, and then Ultimate later, on the Wii U and then the Wii respectively. I didn't have any of the 3DS stuff, but where I'm going at, why I was mad at Monster Hunter was fighting the Anjanath by yourself. It's very difficult, unless you're a really high rank and you have some crazy good weapons. You're gonna murk it pretty quickly. But if you're just grinding and you're, you know, a few ranks in or whatever, it's very difficult to take on anything in the game by yourself, because it's always telling you, hey, you can fire an SOS flare now. Hey, you can fire an SOS flare now. Hey, you can fire. So it definitely is, Monster Hunter wants you to play with people. Now, when people join your group, up to 3 can, it does increase the difficulty. It does increase the monster's hit points. Rewards are not necessarily increased, but it is harder. That makes sense in the sense of a roleplay kind of situation. It's very similar to when people join your game on Diablo. It does increase the enemies and health and different things like that. I mean, most RPGs do that. It's just the way it is. Monster Hunter World is a hunter type genre, but it does have those broad RPG elements. And I was fighting the Anjanath, and this happened. So I'm in this area, and I'm trying to evade dodge out of its charging attack. It just kind of runs at me. So I'm in the middle of my roll, and I was pretty certain that I dodged, out of its way before it ever got close to me. But I did get hit by the tail end, I guess, on the end of my roll animation, evasion animation. And I was like, wait a minute, I mean, how did it hit me? But it hit me, and I had to take some damage. And when it hit me, my character fell over, and in the cycle of whatever frames of animation, while my character is getting up. Now, you must remember, when you're playing the game, when your character gets up from being knocked down, you're vulnerable. There's nothing you can do. You can't do any other actions until your character is fully up. And the Anjanath decided to claw me or attack me or whatever, and made my character faint. Even though I've got really decent armor and I've got, stuff that gives me extra health and things like that, it still made me faint. And I was kind of frustrated with that. I was like, man, I evaded and I'm getting attacked. It gets a free attack in my get up animation. I've also noticed that I went back to try to, again, to continue to fight it because I needed its parts for some other stuff I needed. And again, playing by myself because not that I could have easily fired an SOS flare, but sometimes I can fire one and no one ever joins. So it's like I just figured I could solo it because, again, even though it's not the most powerful creature in the game, at my character's current rank and the stuff I have, I was like, it should matter. I should be able to take this thing out. So I'm fighting it, and it decides to. There's this little area where this Parrot Toad was at. I was like, well, maybe I can hit the Parrot Toad and get it paralyzed. Well, what happened was the thing did its yell, which stunned my character because anytime the monsters yell, unless you've got earplugs, you actually get stunned. It knocked me into the Parrot Toad. Parrot Toad paralyzed me, so I'm paralyzed in this animation. It knocked me down again, and I had a little bit of health left. And my character was crawling backwards in an animation cycle and then rolled over and tried to get up. Again, you can't do anything. You're completely defenseless. Boom, bowled over me, fainted. Third time's a charm. Went back to it, and this time, I was dodging and doing my thing, and I got some good hits off of it using my. I was using my Iron Assault, which is a fourth upgrade, so doing the damage I need to do, and it hit me with its fire and got me on the tail end, so I had to roll around to get that off me, and I went to heal, and I've noticed that the heals are very similar in animation and style to Dark Souls 2 Estus drinking, which is very slow. So I'm trying to drink, and you can break off that animation, but you won't get the full effect of the potion. So you basically essentially waste a potion, and it blasted me again with fire right when I was doing the potion. So I had to roll again and do another potion and back off, and then I was like, man, this thing is just just all on top of me. So I was like, I don't understand why this is being this is going on. I'm doing everything right, and the thing is just hitting me. It's doing it just turns around to attack my palico, but its tail just waves around. It's not really trying to attack me, but I get hit by the tail. So boom, I go down again. In the middle of that animation, getting up, it turned around, boom, breathe fire, boom, fainted again. So the fourth time, I was like, God bless it with this thing. I'm like, it's literally getting me. I kept thinking, and I was getting frustrated. You're getting up in this game, and you're stuck in an animation cycle. Or if you get hit and you're being knocked back, into the air or knocking down or whatever, I was like, you're literally stuck in an animation cycle where the enemy, if it attacks you, it gets a free attack. You can't do anything about it. So I kept thinking, I was like, why don't they just... Why is it like that? I said, and why is it that when you're in your evasion roll, when you roll out of the way, that you're not invincible? Kind of how Dark Souls does it. Because some of Monster Hunter World reminds me just a little bit of that game. There's some elements here. It's like, why is it that when you play Monster Hunter and you roll out of the way, you're not invincible? But you're not. You can get hit in your evasion if you don't time it right. And that makes sense from a challenge point of view, but it's like you should just be invincible. Because there are times where I've rolled, out from under, where a monster's way so much above me, and yet even though it should have hit me, it doesn't. So there is some hitbox issues going on here or there. I don't think Dark Souls 2 level of bad, but it's still there, and I was getting frustrated with the game. And my buddies, I was playing hey, we'll come and help you in just a minute. We got to finish this up, and I'll do your thing. I should be able to take care of this thing. So going back after it again, and finally getting, by the time I was getting into its area, the monster left the area. So I was like, great. I literally was limping right before I fainted the third time, and then it leaves the area. So I was like, well, that was just a big old waste of my time. I got really frustrated with the game, and I turned it off. I was mad at it. I'm like, this is some bullshit. You actually the monster gets free attacks on you. And then, my buddies on the other end were talking about this creature and how, they were attacking the heck out of this this devil gin or this new type of creature that's really powerful, but they're really powerful. And it was like, she was frustrated because it's like, okay, she healed, or in the process of healing, the monster who had just like knocked her down and did a bunch of damage was attacking my other friend that was playing, and I could hear him on the headsets. And she's like, as soon as I literally pulled the potion out, that creature ceased attacking my one friend and turned its attention towards her and attacked her instantly. And I was like, and she said, she goes, why does it do that? The game almost does that. You could have 4 people in your party and 3 people attacking the monster over and over and over and over and over and over again, and you're way back here, and you can start to heal, and boom, it like knows you're gonna heal. It's happened to me dozens of times where it's like it knows I'm about ready to heal, so it turns its attention on me, even though it should be focused on the other ones. That's basically trying to draw aggro from it so that you can have time to heal, which is what it should do, but it doesn't. It makes sense that maybe the monsters might know that, oh, they're trying to heal, but it's very like, no, it's a monster. Like its instincts are about survival and stuff. It's like, why would it turn its attention to you? And that's something that I can kind of look past, but I don't like it. But the whole thing, that why I got mad at it, was I realized I literally am down on the ground and my character crawls backwards twice, rolls up and gets up, and I mean, I could count to 10 before I'm finally where I can actually use the sticks to move around, and the monster boom, hits you. Free attack, nothing you can do about it, no defense, no nothing. You have to wait for that animation cycle. And I didn't understand that. I'm like, I play a lot of Monster Hunter style genre games, and that just sucks. So I got frustrated and turned it off. And then my buddies were like, well, where are you going? I said, you know what? I'm going to go play Token 2, the other Monster Hunter game that I play, that Omega Force made. And they were like, oh, yeah. I said, you know what frustrates me about Monster Hunter World? And they were like, well, what? And I said, and I started talking about the same thing that was going on here. But at that point, I had loaded up Token 2, and I was fighting a monster. I said, my companions are badass and doing a lot of attacks. Oh, look, I just got knocked down. But as soon as I got knocked down, I hit X. My character rolled out of that get up where I'm not down on the ground. I literally can roll out of an attack if you get knocked down, which is a quick recovery, and you hit the X button, and immediately I went back to attacking. Like, that's great, I also realized in Token 2, you're actually invincible in your roll animation, and so you can't really get hit per se unless the monster's strictly on top of you. But if it's coming at you, even if it looks like it hits you, your animation will save you. And the other thing I was telling them, and I hadn't mentioned this earlier, was the fact that the Monster Hunter World's lock-on camera doesn't really lock on the monster. It does, but it doesn't follow it. Like, you're still able to turn all the way around with the camera stick. Where Token ends, you lock on a monster, it's locked. Like, there's no using your camera. You will always face the camera, always face it, which makes it easier when you're wanting to attack the monster. And you can pick the different parts too, just like in Monster Hunter World. So I was telling them all this about Token 2 and what it does. And even though Token 2 may not look as good, as far as that from a graphical standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint, to me, it's generally superior, just because it does all those things. I said that in Token and Kiwami, back in Season 1, where I was like, it does the stuff that Monster Hunter should do, but doesn't. And again, in this one, I'm like, literally, I don't have those same problems. I can fight even the tougher, bigger, bad creatures in the game. You can command your AI guys to go wherever, or if you can draw aggro while you're healing. It doesn't. Your heals are instantaneous. You can hold down the button, and it's your Matama. Boom, heal, done. Or I can use Leech, another one of my Matama, and every time I attack a creature, I get my health back. It's kind of like, it kills me that how much I really, really like Monster Hunter World, but those 3 or 4 little things being attacked in your get up animation where you're completely vulnerable, getting attacked, which and the potion thing where the monster's like, oh, he's healing, go attack him. The lock on camera and the things I've been talking about drive me crazy. It just fucking drives me crazy. I cannot stand the fact that you're stuck and your evasion roll, you can still get hit, and and I get Monster Hunter is all about timing, and yes, but I'm pretty good at the whole dodge evading thing because of not just playing the other Monster Hunter and other type of games like them, but from playing Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, those games that you require those kind of evasion tactics, and timing and looking at way things attack. And I have found that some of the hitboxes in Monster Hunter World are a little bit out of sync. I have been far enough away from Anjandranath's flame attack and realized, like, well, he can't hit me with it and still get hit with it. I'm like, I'm not even close to it. How did this even hit me? What happened here? And stuff that could probably, all this stuff could probably be fixed in a patch, but I just don't see them doing that. And it's the first time since I have been playing the game, the new game that came out in January, that I actually got mad at it and turned it off. I did not want to play it. I'd even toyed with the idea of playing it tonight, and it was like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with that. I don't even want to play it because I'll get frustrated with if those same kind of things keep happening. And I don't even want to hear this because someone was making a joke about, like, well, just get good. Get good. Get good. Gitgud. Okay, get spelled G-E-T, and good is G-O-O-D, so learn to fucking spell, you stupid MAME motherfuckers. And number one, I'm not saying I'm the best player at the game, because I'm clearly not, but I've played them enough to know that I can usually, I can go, other creatures I can murk no problem, but it's just the little things like that where I'm stuck in an animation cycle, and you can take damage from a creature. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair at all. I understand that you're down on the ground, but you should be able to if you get knocked down, to hit your roll out of the way evasion. Maybe your character can roll on the ground or roll out of the way or something. Token 2 does that, like I was saying. You get, boom, knocked in the air, hit the X button, boom, instant recover. Almost like how fighting games have instant recovery. It's the same concept. And that was, and the Dynasty Warriors games have those, and I guess it's just an Omega Force thing. But it makes sense. Like, you're a highly skilled, trained warrior, and you should be able to deal with that. And like I said, I was mad at Monster Hunter over it. I'm still a little mad about it because I'm like, if I'm going to be experiencing that the whole time, going forward, fighting all these different creatures and monsters, and that they can just basically make you faint, because in the story thing you can faint 3 times and that's it. In Expedition you get unlimited faints, but again, what the mute point was, the daggone creature right before it made me faint started to limp and then left the area, and it was like, well, that whole 40-minute battle I was trying to complete, was for nothing because it just left. And again, I understand leaving the area, the monsters are they program it for everything to be alive, but you just can't do that, and that wears me out. If you're just joining me, this is episode 83 of the Gaming Roundtable. I'm just talking about my reasons that I got frustrated and mad at Monster Hunter last night and playing the game, and my problems with it. Now, for those of you who are fans of the game, I am not knocking the game. I got mad over some of the mechanics. I still love the game. But right now I'm a little frustrated and mad at it that I don't really want to play it. And I'll get back to it, of course, I always do. But I really dislike some of the things that I was saying. And I think Capcom could really fix those things in a patch. I think a patch would be like the best thing they can do to make, if you roll out of the way, you're invincible. Like, just for that slow, just like Dark Souls, those frames a second, make it if you're playing with people and you can draw, you're hitting a creature with a lot of attacks, you're drawing its aggro to give your character time to heal. Instead of the whole, you start to heal, they're fighting it, but it will turn its attention towards you. It has happened so many times to me. And my friend Zazanti had experienced the same problem last night. She was like, "Well, I don't even understand that. Like this guy, I'm over here trying to heal, and it just completely diverted its attention to me because it's like it knew I was healing." That was her exact words. I was like, "Thank you." I said thank you because it's happened so many times. And Richard's like, my buddy Richard. Nemini was like, yeah, I mean, I've experienced that too. So it's like you can't, it's like you're just trying to prevent me to heal, and it's like that shouldn't be a thing. And that's why I was mad at it, and I just don't like the idea of like I'm stuck in an animation cycle, and the creature is allowed to get a free hit off me, which could potentially cause my character to faint. So I got to run all the way back to where the creature went, or if I'm in a story mode, could make me have to redo the whole mission. It's just I don't think that's the way to handle it. I think you should be able to hit a button and be able to recover quickly, because Token 2 does that. Hell, Token Kiwami does that. And it's just like that's in the game. A quick recovery, just like in fighting games. It makes more sense to me. And I was realizing how much more enjoyable the combat in Token 2 is, especially from melee weapons point of view, versus Monster Hunter World. Because so many of the monsters in Monster Hunter World fly. And some of them just stay in the air, for a large majority of the fight. And you're just like, okay, I've got a melee weapon. What the hell am I going to do with a sword if it's just sitting in the air the whole time? That's a small gripe, but the thing is that's why you wonder why everyone is only using certain weapons. Everybody's using the bow. Everybody's using, the range weapons. I run across more people in the game using ranged weapons than any other type of weapon. They're using the light assault, they're using the heavy assault, they're using the bow. You will see people using Kinsect blades because they can leap in the air and mount. Kinsect blades are really OP in the game, but it's mainly, I don't know how many games I've either joined or people join me and they're all using ranged weapons. That just goes to show you that the melee weapons are kind of like, for the most part, for most people, they don't use them. So and this is, like I said, this is why I got mad at Monster Hunter. I just think that Capcom could fix these things in a patch. I just don't think they're going to, because no one, out of all the reviews I've watched on YouTube and different things I've talked to people about, no one has really complained about that. No one has complained that, well, I can get the monster hits me when I'm in my get up animation because it takes me like to the count of 5, sometimes 10, just to get up, depending on how hard I was hit. And it's like, that's a fairness issue to me, because yes, you can also knock a monster down, but when you knock a monster down, it's stunned for a while. So it's trying to get up, but it's just sitting there like shaking around. It doesn't, or you can put it to sleep. That's a totally different scenario, So, but the monsters are the enemies in the game, and that's why I got mad. That's the only reason I got mad at Monster Hunter. Was those small little reasons, but it is enough for me to be like to kind of like take a break from the game, because I'll come back to it at some point, but I gotta take a break. At this point, I'd rather play Token 2, because at least Token 2, I have those combat options where I'm not going to get stuck in animation cycles, and I can recover after I get hit by a creature, knocked down or whatever, that I don't have to spend, to the count of 8 to drink a potion. I can go healed, and just because you're using these matamas like spiritual magic and stuff. And again, I'm not saying that one game is better than the other, but I will say that the combat for Dokkan 2, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, is superior to Monster Hunter's because of those things. The things that Monster Hunter needs and doesn't do, but Token's series, Token Kiwami, and in a greater extent, Token 2 does. And so, and that's just how I feel about it. And yes, I know I'm a Megaforce fan. I love Dynasty Warriors, and it's beside the point. I look at mechanics, because I also play the God Eater series, God Eater Resurrection, God Eater 2, which is a Monster Hunter style game. I have Earthdawn, which you get a lot of monster parts and stuff from killing creatures in that, so it does have those elements. It's for a side-scrolling style of game. I play the Final Fantasy 15's multiplayer Comrades, which is interesting because there's a lot of you take parts in that too, so that's almost like their version of Monster Hunter in a way. And like those games I love, and I wish Monster Hunter just would improve upon those systems. Um, but I still love the game. I still recommend the game. The game is definitely an 8.5. I don't review games, but if I gave it one, it'd be an 8.5 easily. Maybe even a 9. But those little things really, to me, hold it back in its combat. Like the exploration's great, the controls are great, everything's real tight. It's beautiful, like world. The music's great. The voice acting is good, although the lip syncing is bad. Still though, it's still a great game. It's just that's why I'm mad at it. Well, this has been episode 83 of the Gaming Roundtable, Mad at Monster Hunter. I'll be back here just shortly with another video, and we're going to be talking about some other things, and I've got some other new games to show you. My recent pickups are Titan Quest, and I picked up a sort of mech type game. So I don't know if it was mech, not mech assault, but like some kind of with assault in the title, and it's kind of like it was from the Vita. Picked that up real cheap because I like those type of games, and I'll be bringing you some gameplay for Titan Quest and showing you a little bit about that game and what it's all about. And I will see you on the next episode of Gaming Roundtable. Thank you, if you're one of my subscribers, for joining and watching this channel. And definitely don't take what I said, as like you don't want to play Monster Hunter. You should play it. It's still a great game. It's just keep those things that I said in mind. And I want to tell you, I do appreciate my subscribers. I have a very low subscriber number, but I'm trying to get this up to 20 this year and doing my best. So please tell your friends about me. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you on the next episode of Gaming Roundtable. And as always, gamers, good gaming.